Okay, I think we're going to start now that Eunice is here. There's no reason for further delay.
Ellen's coming up.
Okay.
Who else?
Well, let me just give you the little history of what we're going to do before we dive into it. Some of you heard this story, but this maybe will set some context for you. I started in this role in July of 2013, and one of the agreements I had with our ownership was I wanted to be able to actually sell real estate. Not just teach people how to sell, I wanted to actually do it. I felt like it would actually make what I do in the training room much more relevant and would create an additional income stream for me, which was very important. So I started selling and I clicked along, almost immediately started doing about one deal a month. Okay, not so bad, but I wanted to get to two. So I reached out to some friends of mine across the state who owned RE/MAX offices, but also produced at a high level. They had sales teams because their role mirrored mine. Even though I don't own the company, I have a leadership role, they have leadership roles, plus they were selling at a high level. So I picked one from each metro market in Texas, DFW, Austin, San Antonio, and New Braunfels. And I invited them to meet me at a retreat, which happened exactly 1 year ago. So we got together for a whole weekend and I said, here's my agenda. I want to learn from you how to go from doing one transaction a month to two transactions a month. What came out of that mastermind group didn't just take me to two, it took me to three. And I've very consistently done 3 transactions a month since then. We did our second retreat in July of last year, so about 4 months later. And by then I was absolutely overwhelmed. I had 15 closings in July of last year. That's how crazy things got once I implemented what I learned at that first mastermind group. And so I came back asking for help. How do you maintain your sanity? Was anybody at the Top 500 retreat last fall? I got to speak and I shared with them that I really thought I was having a nervous breakdown last summer. And I won't go through all the details of that, but I had adrenaline in my body for weeks on end, and I thought I was just going to explode or lose my mind. Yeah, so I went asking for help. And as a direct result of that, I made a deal with a team leader in our office and began funneling my transactions through her support team. So contract to close support. I also made an agreement with an agent in our office to take my overflow or non-referred buyer leads, and that immediately brought me some relief. However, ultimately what that enabled me to do was 3 transactions a month and not lose my mind. That's what it got me to, okay? However, I still had no personal life, no free time. I was still working literally at the office at 6:30, try to get home by 5, but then work at home until 9 or 10. That's been my lifestyle. So when I went back to our mastermind group, this is our 3rd meeting, okay, we just finished it last weekend. My question was, because every time you go to a class or a meeting, a convention, a retreat, you should have an agenda. You going in, I'm here to get this. I'm here to learn this. And this time my agenda was, I want to continue 3 transactions a month, satisfies my financial aspirations. However, I need to go from simply not losing my mind to actually having a life, having more time with my wife and my daughter whom I dearly love. So that was my agenda. And just like I have gotten everything I looked for at the first retreat and the second retreat, I got what I needed out of this one. And specifically, it was ways to increase my transaction benchmark. I'm going to have to push it above 36. In fact, my new transaction benchmark for the year is 48. Now I'm starting late in the years, but it basically going from 3 a month to 4 a month. But what that's going to enable me to do is bring on a team member who will be responsible for 2 of those each month. So now I'm personally going from 3 down to 2, and yet the income equivalent is the same because the team member will be doing 2 a month. Does that make sense? So it literally answers the question, how can you do more business and still have more time for a real life? And I got the plan for doing that. How to increase the leads, how to bring on a team member. And throughout this presentation this morning, I'll be sharing those ideas with you. You'll see exactly what I learned, plus a whole bunch of other stuff that I'm just throwing in because everybody has different agendas and different needs. So hopefully at some point you'll connect with an idea that's going to provide you with your breakthrough. But before we get into them, I want you to ask yourself the question that I ask myself before each of these retreats or learning opportunities. What is it that you need in your business? What do you need to learn? What do you need to know how to do? Where's the hole, the gap that's keeping you moving from where you're at to where you want to be? If you can identify that, I'm here to get this, then as we go through the presentation today, you're much more likely to find it. You'll have that aha moment, there it is. That's what I needed, okay? All right, so let's dive in. The top 10 things I learned at my XLR8 Mastermind retreat. First of all, you need to dominate your farm. How many of y'all have a geo farm right now? Do you dominate it? Do you have premier market presence in your farm? And what that means is you are listing more homes in your farm than the next 2 or 3 top agents combined. You're not only the number 1 listing agent in your farm, but a dominant number 1. Can anybody raise their hand to that? Okay, so how do you do that? Because if you're going to farm, wouldn't it make sense to dominate your farm? Shouldn't that be your goal? Shouldn't other agents look at your farm and say, oh gosh, I'm not going to waste any money, time, or resources on that neighborhood because Virginia owns it, right? That's what you want. So how do you do that? Stuart Sutton, who has a long history in real estate, moved into North Austin just about 3 years ago and relaunched his career from scratch at the RE/MAX 1 office. During that time, he's gone from 0 to almost $1 million GCI last year. Chairman's Club, almost hit diamond. How has he done that? Exclusively by geo-farming. And I'm just going to throw out some tidbits here, the kind of the main planks of his strategy. It includes neighborhood websites for the targeted neighborhoods that he wants to dominate. Weekly market updates on those websites by video. So he walks them through. We've got 2 new listings. There's the one at 327 Briarwood, fantastic pool home. Oh, there's another one. This one went pending. This one closed. It's a market update on the neighborhood by video posted on the website. A next level service offer. All he means by that is when I list your home, I am going to invest my hard-earned cash to ensure that your home sells for top dollar in the shortest amount of time. So I'm going to pay to have your landscaping refreshed. Fresh mulch, flower beds weeded, some fresh plants put in if necessary. I'm going to have all of your windows cleaned on the house so it sparkles, and I'm going to have the home, I'm going to have a professional stager do a consultation with you at my expense. Next level service. He then does a personal walkthrough of every home that comes on the market in his neighborhoods, and then provides a video introduction to that new listing on the neighborhood website. He does not carry his camera in and walk through the house because that could be a violation of privacy. He's not the listing agent on all of them. But he will do a little video of him talking about the home and the features and amenities that he feels are most attractive in that property. Now, that's the overview. That's what has enabled him to make nearly $1 million in just 3 years. in this new market area. But here's the great news. Stuart is going to be here live. He is coming to this office, to this room, and is going to take 3 hours and share every single detail of his strategy. His presentation is called Dominate Your Farm. And he's going to tell you exactly how to do it. You know one really cool thing about his strategy? It doesn't cost hardly anything. Virtually nothing. What he's doing with the websites and the videos and the walkthroughs, you can do all of that through your RE/MAX Lead Street website. You don't have to go out and hire some fancy web designer. You can do it all yourself. And if you don't know how to, I'll be teaching a class showing you how, coming up very quickly. In fact, I'm going to do it probably, I'm going to rework the schedule the week after Stuart's here. I'm probably going to come in and teach that class. So you'll know exactly how to implement that using your strategy. But Stuart typically teaches this in a 2-day, 4-hour class. I've asked him to condense it to 3 and come in here. So we're going to start at a normal 10 o'clock time, but probably go to 1 o'clock. Okay, so bring a ham sandwich in your purse or something, okay, so we can stay through that. You're going to love it. If you want to get a quick glimpse at what he's doing, go to one of his neighborhood websites, seaberrycreekhomes.com. Just check it out. You will see he is not a Hollywood polished superstar type. He just turns the camera on while sitting at the desk in his office and starts talking. Something that any one of us can do. So dominate your farm. If you're going to farm, dominate it. And we'll go into the details on his strategy. That will dramatically accelerate your income. Secondly, saturate your farm. Now this is different. This is not the Stuart Sutton strategy, right? Different strokes for different folks. But I'm just going to give you a different insight that I learned from another member of our mastermind group. Select a geo farm that is efficiently covered by 1 or 2 postal routes. Now when I say that, do you know what I'm talking about? You go to USPS.com, do a search. They have a little Google search window on EDDM, every door direct mail, and then look at the tool that will pop up, every door direct mail, where you can actually zoom in. It's like a Google Map search feature, and as you drill down within a zip code, lights will appear on the map showing you different postal routes. And the reason you need to know that is you want to find postal routes that dovetail as closely as possible with the neighborhoods that you want to farm. Because every door direct mail is the most least, is that a word? Most least expensive way that you can actually mail, 17.5 cents per piece. And you can actually mail 8.5 by 11 full-size color cardstock laminated postcards for 17.5 cents. So you find a postal route or 2 that overlap the area that you want to farm. Then you send a just listed, just sold, you could even do a just pending card every time any of those statuses occur in your business, regardless of where the subject property is located. So if you're farming neighborhoods in Kingwood, but you sell a home in Pearland, it's your Kingwood farm that gets the just listed, just sold, or just pended card. All you're trying, you don't have to put that it's in Pearland, just put the address. The whole idea is you're trying to saturate a given group of homeowners with the knowledge that you are selling a whole lot of houses. They're getting just listed, just pended, just sold from you almost every single week. I mean, there's 3 triggers right there. If you're doing 20 transactions a year, that's potentially 60 triggers, 6 postcards into your farm. That presumes you have the listing, and I realize they're not all listings. But do you see how that compounding effect, how often does the average person move in your market? Every 5 years. Okay, so that's 60 months total. What does it cost you to send a postcard? 65 cents. So that's let's say $4 a year. Times, no, that's not right, is it? 40. Let's say $40. times 5 years is $200. So you would invest $200 mailing to that family over 5 years. Now, if you were that homeowner and you had gotten 60 postcards a year, one every week for 5 years, and it came time to sell your home, who are you going to call first? Who are you going to think of? Everybody that you know, every potential client in your sphere knows at least 10 realtors, right? Probably cousin Billy Bob and their next door neighbor, and who knows, they might even have a real estate license, okay? But who are they going to entrust the sale of their home to? The agent that they believe is going to do the best by them. And if you've demonstrated by this consistent saturation campaign over years that you get the job done, you're going to be in the preferred position to get the call. Okay?
Right.
Yes, sir.
Do you think that's still a good idea, even though you might get like a little booger listing that you take on because you know you're going to sell it in a few days and your market is, you know, Lakeshore or Summerwood, whatever, what you get?
Yeah. Oh, I'll take a listing anywhere.
$90,000 listing down somewhere where you're like, do you still want to send that to those folks? I mean,
you're only mailing to your farm here.
right.
That's
so let's say you're just doing a listing that's just selling the farm.
No, no.
It's really ugly.
No, if I'm not proud of the listing,
Okay.
no, I'm not mailing on it. Thank you for that clarification. Thank you. Yes. One of my sales last year was a double wide up in Willis, okay, with a rusty roof and some neglected landscaping. It did not go on a postcard. Yeah, good point. Any questions about EDM? How many of you will have done an EDM mailing at some point in your career? Okay, that's less than half of us. There's great opportunity there. It's very super cheap. Okay, I mail to the postal route that I live in Tomball has 777 homes in it. Okay, I took a listing down the street on my same street last month. Did an every door direct mailing, full size, 8.5 by 11, not folded, double sided, color laminated. It cost me in postage $135. To mail that to 777 homes.
They laminated for you?
My printer did, yes. My printer did, yes. Yeah, so it's just super. That's why I say pick two. Pick two postal routes if you're determined to saturate a specific geographic area. Okay. All right. Get referrals from your preferred vendors. From is underlined. Because what do we typically do with our preferred vendors? We give them referrals, right? That's what we do. You know, our landscaper, our painter, our handyman, our carpet guy, all of that. Maid service. One of my mastermind partners made the point very emphatically from success in his business. He said, you need to meet or call every single person on your preferred vendor list and say, hey, I'm helping to build your business. I'm sending you referrals at every opportunity. I'm even putting your name, business contact information on my website. That's how committed I am to growing your business. Here's what I'm looking for in return. Every year, I want you to send me at least one prospect. One person who needs to buy, sell, lease, or invest. Just one over the course of a year. And if you're committed to the win-win in that way, you're going to stay on my list. How many of you all do anything like that now to solicit referrals from your preferred vendors? What are you doing, Virginia?
Well, I just got my mortgage guy just with Zillow with me.
Yes.
So, and my landscaper, I give him business, and I asked him the other day, give me the cards, give me the cards. Okay.
So he's going to prospect for you, your landscaper. Yeah. No, if you give business to a particular lender, they will support your marketing efforts. And let me just throw this out, this is kind of a tidbit. I have a personal practice that when I use a vendor, it is my goal to become their top referring agent. I want to be number one. Whether that's my mortgage, my title, my home warranty rep, I want to be their number one source of business. And I've achieved that, by the way, with my mortgage lender. The last update I got was 2 weeks ago, and I was tied for number one with a huge producing team in our Woodlands office. A team that does 5, 6 times as much business as I do, but we're tied for first in referrals to our lender. Okay? If you can establish that kind of relationship with your preferred vendors, wonderful things are going to happen to you. Okay? They will step up. They will support your marketing efforts. They will send you business. They will send you buyers and sellers. So just that's a personal practice of mine. I would encourage you to establish that kind of relationship. And I would tell your vendors, this is my goal. And then ask them, who's your number one referring agent right now? How many deals have they sent you in the last 12 months? All right, my goal is to beat that. Okay? What's your goal in supporting me? What's your commitment to supporting me? Okay, number 4, I love this idea. You guys should do this. I'm telling you right now, everybody in the room should do this. Virtually no cost and almost guaranteed business. Create a Hometown Heroes program. Get together with your preferred vendors and create a little support team, and then put together a package of benefits and incentives that you are going to provide to people who provide community services. Police, fire, military, school district employees, municipal employees, people who provide those kind of services. Put together some nice package that they are going to see value in. And perhaps that's a $1,000 contribution towards their closing costs, or a free home warranty, or a free mortgage application, or...
He has called a landscaper by the name of Aurelio. He's on Park 1.
Well, there we go. There's a referral partner right there. Okay? It could be a free local move. We're going to cover the cost of your move. Okay? Whatever. A lot of builders do that now anyway. Are you aware of that? They'll have community service programs. I've got one builder who will give you 2 points, 2% off the price of the home if you fall into these categories. So you could even just piggyback on that. And that would be nothing out of your pocket whatsoever. But you put together this package, create a poster, and not a 24 by 36, because that won't go on the break room wall. But do like an 18 by 24, something fairly modest, have it professionally printed on glossy paper, and then go around and put it in the break rooms of all the hospitals, schools, fire stations, police departments, anywhere like that where public service employees gather. And by the way, Virginia, I'm going to post this PowerPoint onto the server right after class today. So that you're going to have all of this. But can you see it?
Server is.
All right. And this video will be on our YouTube channel probably by no later than tomorrow, okay? Has anybody done anything like this before? Heard of anybody doing it? Do you see the opportunity? Yeah. Well, y'all aren't nearly as excited as I am, and that's okay, because I'll do it if you won't, okay? No, I'm telling you, this could be the breakthrough idea for somebody in this room. This could take you from 6 transactions to 60. If you only did this, but you did it at a massive level, that could do it right there. And just develop that as your service mantra, that you're here to serve the people who serve us. Gosh. Okay. Number 5, here we go. Pay others to make your calls. And I'm talking about lead generating telephone calls. There are so many services out there that will do this, but here's just another one. And if you decide to do this, I would encourage you to Google them and start networking and explore them. But 1000callsaday.com. They'll call any list that you give them. Your past clients and customers, your geo farm, expireds, for sale by owners, literally anything. They'll call the neighborhoods around just listed or just sold. Hey, did you know that Virginia just listed the Smith House over on Elm Street? We're looking for great people to move into the neighborhood. Do you know anybody who might be interested? Hey, have you considered selling your home because Virginia is looking for additional listings in this market area? That kind of very simple approach. But what if they were making that phone call 1,000 times a day on your behalf? Would that make an impact in your business? 1,000 times. Now, if you do it at this level, it's pricey. This is not for brand new agents, unless you're well funded. Okay, and just to give you an example, and I actually just cut and paste off this particular service's website in here. They will make 1,000 calls a day for you. Using their speed dialers, they can do that. They run 3-line headsets, and it just goes from, it rings. When they answer, the others hang up, it just keeps rolling. That's how they can do 1,000 a day. But it'll cost you about $2,500 a month or $31,000 a year. Okay?
The size of my database, they would be getting 3 or 4 calls a day.
Yeah.
To go through 1,000.
Yeah, so you start with that. They do that from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. the day one, and then they start calling everybody else in Houston. Okay? By the way, okay, because you guys are here, I'm going to share something with you that probably nobody else knows. We have access to telephone numbers. Did you know that?
That was my question.
Would it make a difference to you to have phone numbers for 45 to 50% of the homeowners in your geographic farm area? Or to get all the homeowners, half the homeowners' phone numbers around a just listed or just sold property? We've got it. Okay? So if you'll send me an address, I have to have a specific street address. Okay? Don't just tell me Kingwood Manor. I don't want it, that doesn't help me. You got to say 325 Elm Street. And then you tell me I want the neighborhood around that address. Or I want a 1-mile radius around that address. And I can pull the numbers and send it to you. It'll be an Excel spreadsheet. Okay? Send it to me in an email. That way I'll have it. And if I don't do it immediately, I try to get to it within about 24 hours. It takes me a few minutes, but I'll try to respond to you, okay? So let me know. But they would use a similar service so that it's not just your database.
How does that work? Only because how many people have home phones these days?
Again, we have phone numbers for about 45% of homeowners. They're not just landlines, they're also cell numbers. All right. By the way, I watched a video yesterday. This was after I put all this together. Stumbled on this video, and I think I'm going to give you the website. I'm going to give it to you before we're done. It's in the presentation. And I watched a webinar with Mark Martin, who's with RE/MAX Austin Skyline in Austin, Texas. Mark also has an extensive real estate background. He was a great producing agent in Austin, moved to Florida, sold real estate there, came back to Texas, bought a different franchise, grew it up big, then went completely bust, bankrupt, had to move back in with his mother, drive her used car. You get the idea? This is a guy who's been to the top, now he's down at the very bottom. I went to Austin and interviewed him, took him to lunch 2 years ago, because in his first year back, he did $10 million. Okay? Starting from scratch. And I'm like, hey dude, what is going on? And he started going through his systems with me, and I said, I want to bring my video camera to your home office, and I want to record you explaining all this to me. It was so phenomenal. Well, that was 2 years ago. Guess how much business Mark Martin did last year? How about 35 million? Okay? Would you agree that we could learn something from him? You can watch that 1-hour interview for free. I'm going to show you the website. Here's the relevance to this conversation right now. In January of this year, he signed up for this service right here, 1000callsaday.com. And on the video yesterday, which was recorded just a few days ago, he said, year to date, I've spent 12 grand. Would you agree that's a lot of money? Most of us couldn't afford that. We might have to partner up with another agent or 2 or 3 to go in at that level, right? But actually, he's doubled up. You could do it for half that. You could spend $6,000, because he's actually paying $5,000 a month. Can you believe that? For these people to call. But he said, year to date, I've invested $12,000. As a result, I now have 120,000 GCI in my pipeline, in my pending pipeline, as a direct result. That's a 10-fold return on investment. And that doesn't include those that are incubating, right, that haven't gone under contract yet. So, again, sometimes You just have to say, doggone it, I'm tired of chipping away at the edges, and I'm going to go big. You know, what if I have to call mom and dad and ask for some of my inheritance early, okay? Or partner with another agent, and we all pitch in. I was sharing with a couple of you who got here early. There's a book that Mark mentions in this video, and I was so excited. It was the second person to mention it to me in about 3 days. While he's still talking, I'm on Amazon, I'm ordering it, okay? And I know what's in the, one thing in the title is 10X. Anybody familiar with it? Grant Cardone is the author. But basically what he says is, whatever your goals are for the year, somebody tell me a reasonable goal for an agent for 2015, income-wise. What would be a reasonable goal?
$10,000 a month.
$10,000 a month, $120,000 a year. Would we agree? For many agents, that would be very reasonable. Grant says multiply that by 10. So now your goal is 1.2 million. If your goal is 1.2 million, are you going to act differently than if your goal is 120,000? Are you going to do anything differently? Well, y'all are stunned right now, right? You're like, well, I don't even know if that's realistic. Okay? What if it isn't? What if you stumble and only do 5 times your goal?
You failed.
Yeah, you failed at 600,000. The whole point is to shake us out of our comfort zone and out of these little narrow lanes that we tend to run in. Well, I'm going to go for a 5% increase in my business this year. That's not going to motivate massive action to move your business forward. Mark Martin, 10 million his first year, 35 million his third year. You don't get there without creative thinking, without taking massive action, without stretching the parameters of what you think is reasonable. Okay? So again, set these massive goals, start taking massive action to achieve that. What's the old saying? You know, if you shoot for the stars and land on the moon, not so bad, right? Right? It's a lot better than just jumping 6 inches off the ground. Shoot for the stars. That's the point. And this is one way to do it. One way to do it. Pay somebody to make 1,000 dials a day for you. Okay? All right. 5B, this is the same one, but I've got a subscript under paying others to make your calls. Here is another service. Not 1,000 calls a day, but this one is called Fitzgerald Coaching. And their website, I don't think I gave it in to you. It's called prospectingworks.com. Prospecting Works. Anybody using this service? They haven't been calling you? One of my mastermind partners said he just signed up with them because he's got 3 agents in his office, this is in the DFW area, who are each making over $200,000 a year GCI from this service right here. That's not their total income. That's their income stream from this service. Okay, Fitzgerald Coaching. What they do is they charge you a flat fee up front. It starts at $5,000, could go to $10,000. But at $5,000, what they will do, you pay them $5,000, you give them the call list, and they will guarantee you 10 closed sales. And you owe them a 20% referral fee too. Okay? But run the math. I've done it. At an average sale price of $200,000, you're going to generate $60,000 GCI on that, and you're going to net $47,000. Still not a bad deal, right? If you go in for $10,000, they will guarantee you 25, not appointments, 25 closed sales, and only a 10% referral fee. Okay? My buddy said, sitting across from me, we're out there, you know, watching the sunset, he says, I just wrote him a check for $10,000. He said, my average sale price is $300,000. That's $9,000 per. Run the math. It's nearly $400,000 GCI on a $10,000 investment with it, plus the 10% referral. Again, most agents are not going to do that. But if you're looking at just blowing the top off your production this year, do something crazy like that. Postpone buying the new car. Drive the old clunker another year. And instead, invest $5,000 in something like this. Just get at the lowest level possible. You're going to get 10 closings out of it. Don't spend that money. Take that and reinvest, and then sign up for the 10 grand plan. Get 25 closed deals out of it. Okay? You following me? Again,
How do they guarantee it?
well, here's what it is. They obviously can't go make your listing presentation, price it right, market it right, negotiate the deal. But they will keep setting appointments for you until you get your required number of closings. They will keep working for you until you meet that number, okay? Or they'll give you your money back, okay? So again, these guys were pitching me early in the year. I got a contract offer from them in January. I couldn't convince my wife that they were legit, even though I called all over the country referencing them, you know. And she's like, I'm not writing a $3,000 or I got them down to $3 grand, by the way. Personally, they don't make that offer, but I negotiated them down. She said, these people are in New York. How do we ever know they're not just going to take our money and run off to Jamaica? Okay. But after this mastermind retreat, and she sat there and heard my buddies say the results they're getting, we're going to do it. Okay. So there you go. Number 6, build a team. I'm really pumped about this. How many of y'all have a licensed team member working with you now, or you are a licensed team member? Anybody? No teams? One team in the room? Why would anybody build a team, by the way? What would be the purpose of that? Yes, absolutely. No, that's exactly right. That's half the answer. It's more money in less time. It's more money and more time away from the business. That's what a team enables you to do. And let me tell you the conversation I had. Some of y'all missed this. We did a little bit of a pre-conversation before class this morning. By the way, don't come late to class. The good stuff happens early, okay, before the official start time. But my agenda was, going into this this mastermind retreat was, I can do my 36 transactions this year. I've got the plan for it. I'm not worried about getting that done. My worry is for my own health, right? Because I'm working all the time. I'm at the office at 6:30. I'm trying to get home by 5, but then I continue working until I pass out at 9 or 10 o'clock. And mentally I'm okay now, but physically I'm not, and I'm missing time with my wife and my daughter. And so my mastermind buddies counseled me down that path, and they said, you've got to build a team. Think about it this way. If you have a team member doing 2 transactions a month, that's 24 a year, you're going to get credit on a 50-50 split. That's the equivalent of 12 transactions to you in terms of income. Well, if you want to maintain the income from 36 transactions, but you get a team member, you're getting credit for 12, now you can drop your personal transactions to 24. Your income does not change, but now you have dropped your workload by 1/3. Isn't that so simple? Like sometimes I just want to hit myself in the head with a hammer. Like, what? I mean, why couldn't I figure that out? Sometimes it's absolutely that simple. So I interviewed all my mastermind team members. All of them have teams. And I said, tell me how you structure them. And they all have different little tweaks. But I looked for the core. What are they consistently doing that's the same? And here it is. I'll just walk you through this real quick. First of all, you want to avoid a hiring mistake when you bring on a team member. So give them the DISC test. DISC. And you want them to show up high as an ID or DI. D means they're directive. Okay, they're self-motivated, they're energized, they're a go-getter, they're goal-oriented. Okay, you want to be saying, whoa, slow down a little bit. You don't want to be saying, come on, giddy up, let's get something done. If you're having to play that role with team members, you are sunk from the beginning. Okay, so you want a hard driver. And an I is somebody who is engaging, who loves people, who wants to get out there. Okay. Not afraid to go talk to people that they don't know. So disc them and make sure they're a DI or an ID. By the way, if they're an SC or a CS, those are people who are very methodical, they're detail-oriented. You want them on your team ultimately as your administrative assistant, okay? Because they'll make sure every I gets dotted and the T's get crossed. But if you're looking for somebody to generate business, ID or DI. Secondly, 50-50 splits seem to work well. 50-50. Now, I had a very seasoned team leader in my office yesterday who says that he thinks this might be skewed too far in favor of the team member. And top teams around the country are really doing about 35 to 40% splits to the team member, because the team leader is bearing the costs of marketing, and they can be significant when you are the rainmaker for the team. Okay, so just keep that in mind. But among my mastermind group, 50-50 was the norm. The team leader pays marketing expenses for the team. Team members pay realtor and MLS fees and RE/MAX annual dues. Office fees for team members are split evenly. In other words, as the team leader, don't say, I'm going to cover all your costs of association with RE/MAX Associates Northeast. Require them to have some skin in the game. Okay? Split it evenly. And I don't know what the fee structure here in this office is, but just make sure that they are as equally committed financially to their affiliation as you are. Okay? Team members, this is very important, must meet certain lead generation standards each week. In other words, they're not just taking the leads that you give them, the overflow leads from the team leader, they have to generate some of their own. And you have very specific standards along that line, such as they have to host 2 open houses each week. That's a lead generation activity. Or call 100 people a week. Outbound prospecting dials. Sphere of influence, FSBOs, expireds, geographic farm, but they've got to be out there stirring it up. Team members should farm their own sphere of influence, just like you do, because that is the low-hanging fruit. And they may even have their own geo farm, okay, that they're focused on, perhaps their neighborhood. The whole idea is you do not want them having a passive, give me a fish mentality. Where's my leads today? Okay, what are you going to give me today? Who are the buyers I get to go work with today? No, do not do that. They have to be lead generators from day one, and then once they show that they've got the fire in the belly, they get your overflow leads. And you do need to be in a position to provide some of those as a team leader. And that's why some of these lead generation activities that we're talking about today have to figure into your business plan when you're building a team. Okay? They bring leads and you provide leads. Only when team members are meeting their lead generation standards do they qualify to receive leads from the team leader. And by the way, you're going to have these standards clearly articulated in your working agreement, and you're going to have a weekly accountability meeting to make sure they're meeting their lead generation standards. And you're going to track all of these leads. And I'm going to give you some tools behind that as well. Okay? I would say when you're first hiring a team member, you should be meeting every single day. Every single day. Again, I'm a 6:30 guy. I want the big fat juicy worms first, so I want to be first at it. But if you're not, if you're an 8:30, then 8:30. 8:30 every morning we meet in the office for a 30-minute face-to-face. We're going to set the agenda for the day. Okay? So get going early. Each team member, very important, should receive from you no more than 25 to 30 leads a month. Now some of y'all, if you sign up for iVortex or HomeGain or Zillow, you might be getting a lot of leads. Has everybody ever signed up for a lead service and been overwhelmed by the leads you got? That's happened to me twice. Twice last year. I had to cancel contracts because they were sending me too many leads. Because here's what happens. When you get too many leads, you are immobilized. It's overwhelming to you. You don't follow up on any of them. You're like, oh gosh, there's another one. You know, the inbox is just filling up and you're just like, ugh. You know, seriously, you get that way. So with your team members who are also human beings, don't give them any more than 25 to 30 a month. They can work those effectively, plus their own leads. But if you start dumping on them 5 or 6 leads a day, several hundred leads a month, there's just no way. They're not going to be able to do anything with them. Okay? Each team member should make at least 50 grand a year. And again, you want to get really in sync with your team members about their financial aspirations. And they will be with you long term, which is what we want. We all want long-term, win-win, mutually satisfying relationships. Find out what their financial aspirations are. The reason I say at least 50 is as the team leader, my financial aspiration is to make at least 50 off each team member. That's why I set that as my minimum. Most team members are probably going to rock in at the 75 to 80 range. Superstars will hit over 100. Okay? I had a big team leader tell me 2 years ago that he had a buyer's agent making 300 on his team. Okay? So there's no limit to it. But again, why would you start a team? What's the incentive for you? Is to generate more money in less time. And so you want efficient, effective closing team members. By the way, you get 3 of these, even at the minimum level of 50, and you have generated $150,000 passive income into your business. Not too bad, right? Not too bad. That means you can do whatever you want. It gives you options. Okay, distribute leads, this is very important. And monitor team lead follow-up using a service, whatever service you have, but here's another one, followupboss.com. It costs $103 a month for a team package. But all of your lead sources, wherever they're coming from, Lead Street, iVortex, HomeGain, Zillow, Trulia, you can route all of them through Follow Up Boss. They'll be distributed according to the algorithm that you set up. So if it's just you and your first team member, you can divide them evenly, every other one. You can have one team member taking the leads within this time block, yourself within another time block. You can set up, you get the leads over a certain price point, they get them, whatever it is. You can set up all those algorithms. Follow Up Boss will distribute them appropriately, and then you can go in and track activity related to every single one of those leads. I would strongly encourage you, do not start a team if you're not willing to do this. One of our core beliefs is that talk is cheap. And when you interview team members, every one of them will say, I'm fired up, I'm ready, I'm all in, I'm going to do whatever it takes. And the sad experience is that most team relationships fail. Most do. Because the team member is not as motivated as they said. And the team leader has failed in providing appropriate direction, structure, and accountability. They didn't set proper expectations. And so you have typically a very inefficient team leader who thinks that by getting a team member, all their problems are going to be solved. And in fact, all they end up doing is multiplying their inefficiency into another person. Okay? So you have to be really clear. Set up your guidelines, your expectations in your working relationship. Weekly accountability, I would say daily to start. I would also put in a probation period, the 30-day and a 90-day check. And we're just going to agree that if this doesn't work, we're going to separate, we're going to be friends, but we're going to give this, we're not slipping a wedding ring on their finger, okay, the day that we start the team. We're saying, hey, we're going to give this a run, we're going to give it a good run, and then we're going to see how it works out. But you have to be able to track your leads. Otherwise, they're going to say, oh yeah, I called those people, they never called me back. Yeah, I emailed them, but they never responded. Most of the leads that you provide on teams are going to be from what source? Online leads. We're going to go through your database in 2 hours. What are you going to do after that? Online leads. What is the consistent quality of online leads? High or low? Low. Are they typically exhilarating or frustrating to work?
2 to 5 out of 100, right?
Yeah, national close rates 1 to 2% on online leads, average online leads. It's frustrating. It's boring. It's hard. And your team members are not going to be able to maintain focus on lead conversion. Lead generation has gotten easy these days. Lead generation is very easy. You can write a check and have unlimited leads. Lead conversion is the challenge people are facing today. Yeah, I got a name, got an email address, sometimes I get a phone number, but they're just not responding. Okay? I can't get them to engage. So you're going to have some type of monitoring service where you see what's happening and can step in and intervene in a timely manner. Okay? Follow Up Boss is one of those. By the way, if you've got one of these massive lead generators like Boomtown ROI, anybody doing Boomtown? Have you heard of Boomtown? Oh gosh, okay. Sometimes they have built-in lead management tools. But if you don't, Follow Up Boss could be a great option for you. Okay, 7, hire a lead rainmaker. This is where your online leads come from if you don't have enough right now. Homes.com got a very high endorsement from one of my Mastermind members. He just signed up for them in January. He had invested, I didn't put this in there, he had invested about $500 by last weekend in Homes.com leads. They already got 2 listings under contract. 2 listings as a result of it. That's a very low cost per lead acquisition, cost per listing acquisition. Okay? The leads are fewer than with Trulia or Zillow, and recognize this, they're sold to 3 agents. They're not exclusive leads. But this is a perfect example of where the persistent agent wins. The agent who's committed to follow up. And by the way, that's why they're cheaper, is they're sold to 3 agents. That's why. So you get your lead cost way down, and if you're the first in the game and the one who keeps coming back, you put yourself in a great position to actually get the client. Okay? By the way, let me just share this kind of off topic. Not really. The best way that I have found to follow up on online leads, in addition to everything that you're doing now, you're emailing, if you get a phone number, you're texting, you're calling, Facebook friending, search for them on Facebook and friend them, LinkedIn, send them a connection request. The absolute best way that I have found to follow up is to establish a saved search in HAR with ASAP notification. Identify, based upon the nature of the lead, what they're looking for. You know, if it's a seller lead, go in, pull their address, and set up a saved search on their neighborhood and start emailing them all status changes so that they can have a good sense of what's happening in that market. If they're a buyer, then identify the geographic area, the price range, do a saved search. It's going to automatically drip on them. And the auto time period in the MLS is 60 days, stretched out to 180, which is the maximum. So now you've got 6 months of auto drip on them, but they're not drip emails that people hate getting spammed with. It's hard market information that they're going to be highly interested in. I found it to be very effective. Very few opt-outs from that. Okay? Trulia. Seller leads are proving to be a very good value. Now, I had a mastermind group in my own office last week among my agents, and I said, what's working, what's not? And a lot of people poo-pooed Trulia. They said they've invested a lot of money not getting anything out of it. Is that true here? Any experience? Trulia, good or bad, up or down?
Hit and miss.
Hit and miss? Down. Okay, so what my mastermind members said is the seller leads are good, not necessarily the buyer leads, and they're getting good value off that. But again, oh, this is the one. I said that happened on Trulia. 2 listings at a total cost of just over $500. Okay. By the way, all online leads are bad. Just keep that in mind. Until you follow up on them diligently. So they're all going to be frustrating to get. Very rarely is somebody going to email you, or you're going to get a Trulia lead that says, hey, I want to see this house, I want to buy it. Not going to happen. You're going to have to go after them. So just recognize that. iVortex Media. How many of y'all have plugged into them yet? Anybody using them? This is one of the services I had to turn off last year because I was getting so many leads. Amazing amount of leads. They run Facebook ads on people in your preferred geographic area. They'll run them right in their news feed. And typically it's a photo of a home, and you establish your own little URL. So like tomballhomevalues.com. And it drives, and the pitch is, would you like to know what your house is worth? Homes are selling fast. Would you like to know what yours is worth? Okay? And they just click on the Facebook ad, log in with their home information, you know, their home address, and they get an auto report coming back, and then you get their email address because they had to provide that to get the value report. Okay? Sometimes you get a phone number, but usually a name and email address. And it was my lead acquisition cost was about $1. So I'd put in $500 and get 500 leads. It's incredibly cheap. Okay? And I didn't have a team member, and that was back in May and June of last year when I was overwhelmed with business. I just had to turn it off. Okay? But if you're, it works. If you're looking to juice up your lead flow and fill your pipeline with possibilities, I think that's one of the best values out there. iVortex Media. There's some setup costs, and then you just put in whatever you want. They do ad buys based upon how much money you give them each month. You can scale it down, $50 this month, $500 this month, and they'll run ads accordingly. Okay, pretty good company. And then Boomtown ROI, I mentioned them a moment ago. Again, not for the faint of heart. Their programs start at $2,500 a month. I'm guessing when I say this, but I'll bet you a third of the top producing teams in America are on Boomtown. You scratch a top team and say, are you using Boomtown? A large percentage of the time they're going to say, of course. Boomtown came out probably 10 years ago. And the smartest brokers I knew at that time, I was still in regional services. I wasn't an agent or in a local office. They all signed up immediately, and they've kept those accounts over the years. One of my Mastermind members has been in Boomtown for about 3 years. He's got 10 team members. It is their second source of leads, right behind Lead Street. They get 10 leads a day off Lead Street, and Boomtown is right behind that. So again, if you can't afford $2,500, find 4 agents in the office, and the 4 of you set up your own little marketing team to share that, and you're going to get your 20% of the leads. So just think outside the box. If you're committed to juicing up your leads, that's an option. Okay, number 8. Here's several random ideas I grouped under one category. Keep more of your money. How many of y'all have done your taxes yet for this year? It's disgusting, isn't it? It's horrible. I couldn't believe it. I thought I was going to get this massive return with all I paid in taxes last year. If I get anything back, it's going to be like crumbs. Okay? So we need to keep more of our money. What percentage of income do you think millionaires pay in taxes? It's less than you and me. It's less. The more money people make, the better accountants they can hire. And the more they structure their income to avoid taxation. Okay? Well, there are certain things that we can do, that we can take advantage of to move in that direction. Here's one. Get an intern. Often for free. Many high schools and almost all colleges have business management intern programs, web design internship programs, marketing programs, where you can hire one of their students for 5, 10, 12 hours a week, sometimes pay them nothing. They come in and do that required service. That would be fantastic for having them tweak your website or implement a social media strategy or pick up the doggone phone and start calling into your database or sphere of influence or GeoFarm. Okay? So think about that. Get some free help. Again, some of my mastermind groups are doing that and getting great results. Pay less for print. Printplace.com is a wonderful source. And we were all doing comparison because everybody in my mastermind group is a geo farmer. And so we're all, okay, what do you pay for a EDDM half-size postcard? What do you pay for full-size property flyers? Printplace.com came in very, very high on the list, meaning very low prices. I'll give you another one that I discovered myself recently and have used a couple times I've been very happy with, and that's brownbagvalues.com. They're out of Pearland. Brown Bag Values. They're the ones who did my 8.5 by 11 double-sided color laminated EDDM postcards. And I got 1,000 of them for $3.99. So they were basically 40 cents a piece. brownbagvalues.com. Great local printer. All right, number 3, fly free. Capital One has an Airlines Mile Card for $59. You get a free airline ticket when you sign up. What's that worth? Several $100s. Southwest did the same thing last year. Guess what I did? I got a Southwest card and flew to New Jersey to see my son for free. Okay? So Capital One's got one. One of my mastermind partners said they're taking their family to Cancun for a week, and even the hotel is going to be free. because Capital One, their travel card accumulates points so rapidly. So leverage that kind of thing if you're not doing that already. Number 4, follow the money. This is something else I learned over the weekend. Got so excited I've already placed my order for Quicken. Got it on the way. It's going to arrive this week. Okay, here's the deal. QuickBooks and Quicken, from the same company, Intuit, they now integrate with most banks and credit card companies. So you can link them together and do direct downloads of your bank statements and credit card statements. Anybody doing that now? See, I'm late to the game. A couple of y'all doing that already. So then you can just easily allocate all of your expenditures into the appropriate accounts. Any of y'all fill out your taxes and you're like, I know I had more expenses than that, but where are they? Where is that shoebox? Okay? What drawer did I put those receipts in? Okay? If you can write a check or pay by credit card and use a service like this, you will not miss those expenses. Okay? So I'm signed up. I'm in. I'm going to be doing that because I don't like paying taxes. And then finally, pay less in taxes. There's an incredible book called Tax-Free Wealth by Tom Wheelwright. I ordered that also over the weekend. As soon as they said, one of my mastermind partners, he is going to close $40 million in sales this year from his team, $40 million. And he does not work with buyers or sellers any longer. He is completely leveraged out of his sales team. In fact, when we weren't talking business this weekend, he was planning his vacation to Spain. He had his little Rick Steves, travel planner out. Where are we going to Spain? He's going to Switzerland, and he's going to Japan. Those are all trips that he has planned between now and the end of the year. Okay? Because he's got a team. And they're fully trained, they're accountable, he's got a team leader in place, he can take the money and run. And that's the life he's living right now. That's the life that's open to every one of us if we'll do similar things that what he's doing. By the way, he's probably younger or as young as anybody in the room. Okay? Considerably younger than me. Okay? It doesn't take long if you take massive action. But this is a book he recommended, so I've got it on the way. But it basically tells you how the millionaires do it. How they pay less in taxes than we do legitimately. They just understand the rules of the game. And here's a way that we can access it pretty inexpensively. I think I paid like $12 or $13. By the way, Amazon didn't have it. They were sold out. So I found it on eBay. Okay? Got my copy on the way. Number 9. Very interesting one. Create your online reputation. Have any of y'all gotten a deal from Yelp yet? Is anybody on Yelp? Anybody know what Yelp is? When do you use Yelp?
When you're looking for reviews,
When you're looking for reviews of what?
something that you want to buy and go to.
What?
Service providers.
Service providers? Yeah, auto mechanics. I think the vast majority of reviews on Yelp are for restaurants. Hey, is there good Chinese in the Woodlands? We go to Yelp and we find out, and we read user-provided reviews. Okay? A couple of my mastermind members are actually getting business from sources like Yelp. People are going on there to find service providers for real estate, seeing that these agents have got very high stars, very high reviews, and great comments, and they're reaching out. That's young people. People my age don't really do that. I mean, we've learned to go on for restaurant reviews. I don't typically go looking for stars and all that. My wife has started, though, so I guess old dogs do learn tricks. She started looking for doctors and dentists by checking their reviews online. If they're bad, she won't go see them. Okay? People are doing that for real estate agents. How do you ensure that you are there to be found and that the reviews are good? Here is an amazing service that will guarantee that for you. It's called get5stars.com. It's a review service where you provide the names and the email addresses of the people that you want them to survey. And they will send them an email saying, your agent, Joe Smith, asked us to have you evaluate the quality of his service on your recent transaction. And by the way, you can upload your entire database. Go back 5 years, 10 years, send them all. Send them all a review. Because here's the deal, this is the magic of it. If they give you 4 to 5 stars, it's a 5-star rating system, they will then be given the opportunity to auto-post their rating and comments to all the rating services. And you can even have your own Facebook account set up, your own LinkedIn, but it will also go to Yelp and Silver Spoon and all these other rating services automatically if they just say yes, post it to social media. If they give you less than 4 stars, they don't get that option. Okay? But regardless of what they give you, you are notified. And so if there's a problem, you can become aware of it. You might have thought everybody was happy at the closing, but they were very upset about something that you did. Wouldn't you like to know? Okay? You'll find out this way. But if they give you great remarks, it's automatically out there if they say share it, and usually they will. So that's how you can create and manage your online reputation. Okay? $29.95 a month. But here's the deal. You can sign up for a free 15-day trial, upload all your current sphere of influence, past clients and customers, see what kind of results you get. It's all going to be pushed out onto social media if they give you high rankings, and then you can determine, do I want to actually pay for this? Okay? But again, some of my partners are getting deals because of it. And I think that's a trend that's going to continue. All right, number 10. Stay on the cutting edge. Okay? I know you think coming to my classes is going to tell you everything you ever need to know about real estate. That's what you say, isn't it? It's what you believe. I know that. Now, here's a source, and here's where I learned some of my stuff. keepingitreal.com. Anybody ever use that website? I got to tell you, it's great. It hasn't been up that long. This is where I stumbled onto the Mark Martin video that I talked about, which dovetailed so beautifully with what came out of my Mastermind retreat. But they're basically 60-minute interviews with top agents. People doing 20, 30, 40, 80, 100 million a year plus. And the ones I've seen are brutally detailed and honest. I mean, they actually... Have you ever been to a conference with a top producing agent and sat there the whole time and realized that they didn't say anything when it was all over? I've had that experience recently, and it just drives me batty. They're up there, they're telling jokes and, having a good time and telling you stories about this buyer and this seller, and you get done and you're like, what can I do with that? Nothing. That's not true here. These videos, I mean, they drill down. What's your cost of acquisition for the lead? What's your cost, for that closed transaction? I mean, they go right to the raw numbers so that you know if their lead sources and their strategies are going to be cost effective in your business. So I love it. I've bookmarked it. I'm going to go there every week or two and see what they've uploaded that's new. Okay? So check it out. That's my newest source. Whew. Okay, there we go. Top 10. There was more. But you didn't have to drive all the way to Austin for that. What's the best thing that you heard today? Or another way of saying that, what's one thing you're going to change in your business as a result of what you heard today?
I like the 10 times.
Okay, massive action. Up your goal by 10 times, up your action by 10 times. By the way, order the book, Grant Cardone. Look for him on Amazon, it's there. What else? What are you going to change in your business?
Get out of your comfort zone.
Okay, what would that mean for you?
Well, it's really it's the hardest thing to do is to just make that leap of faith. Really.
Mm-hmm.
Just do it, and I'm kind of doing that. With some marketing, commitments and things like that.
Yes.
But there's so much more to do, and I think 10 times what your belief system is, because that's what you're limited to. Your own
Yes.
belief system.
Yeah. So along that line, I ordered several of these books that my Mastermind partners, they're on the way, I'm going to read them. I'm going to stretch my mind with that, get that kind of reinforcement. And I've already decided I'm going to implement at least one of the lead generation strategies. I'm going to hire Fitzgerald Coaching, get that going, create some additional income. What am I going to do with that income? I'm going to fund hiring up my first team member, okay? So that I can then derive the income from their efforts and lower my personal transaction benchmark, okay? The same amount of money in less time. That's my first goal. And then beyond that, more money in even less time, okay? And if you're generating at least $50,000 in income from each team member, just scale it up, okay? If you've got the systems and the structure and the accountability to support it, there's no limit to it. No limit. Again, one of my mastermind partners, the youngest guy in the group's got 10 people on his team right now, each of them generating a minimum of $50,000 for them and for him. Do the math. Nice life when you're in your 30s, right? Have a $500,000 income. Nice life. Okay, somebody else. Yes, buddy.
I think what I would certainly do is look at this, and you go through these 10 things, and you could look at it, you could kind of get overwhelmed with it, but what I would do is I would look at those 10 things. I would begin looking at what's the best thing I could do to generate more leads. Mm-hmm. I would get that going until I was overwhelmed, and at the same time, I'm going to be thinking about the team.
That's right.
Because that's got to be the key to the whole thing.
Yes.
I couldn't do all these things without
right.
help. I could start someplace and get my lead count up, because a lot of times it's like, gee, I just don't have enough leads.
Right.
I'm working my spirit, I'm doing all these things, but I would zero in on what I thought would be the thing that I would best be adapted to at this time.
Yes.
Some of the things on there I might go, oh, I'm going to kind of ease into those, but I'm going to find something on there that would work for me, and then get to a point where I can look at bringing somebody on,
right.
take this activity, and then start building another platform.
That's right. So on these 10 things, there were probably a total of 20 or 25 ideas shared. What am I committed to implementing? 2 or 3 of them. Yeah. 2 or 3. I'm going to build my structures and systems so that when I add a team member, I know exactly how to communicate expectations, performance standards to them. I'm then going to juice up the leads, and I'm going to start with the Fitzgerald Coaching, and then I'm going to bring on the team member. Okay? So that's 3 things. The rest of them are fantastic, but you can't do all at once. So I just narrowed it down. That's my path. Those are the changes I'm making. Anybody else? What changes are you going to make? Oh, good question. That's okay.
Where do you get the telephone numbers for addresses that were?
Yes, we paid. I say we, the Woodlands office paid. You guys are just getting to ride on the coattails for free for a service from Cole Realty Resources. They're out of Nebraska or Iowa. And again, almost all the top agents. Mark Martin in his interview yesterday says, yeah, we get our numbers from Cole. That's who we upload into 1,000 calls a day. Again, if you start listening to the top producers, you're going to find they do a lot of the same stuff and use the same resources. So we paid well over $1,000 to have a subscription for this year. So send me an address and I'll be glad to provide you the list.
What was that name again?
Cole.
C-O-A-L?
You don't really need to know unless you want to get your own account.
Well, you can go in and review it.
No. Well, okay, Cole Realty Resources.com. But you'll save yourself at least $1,200 if you just email me. I'll give it to you for free.
What exactly do you need in the email besides the address?
The parameters of what you want. Do you want that neighborhood that the home is in? If so, give me the name of the neighborhood and maybe the boundary streets, because I can go in and do a map search and draw it. Okay? Or you might say, just give me everything within a quarter mile or a half mile, because I can do a radius search as well. Or if you just know parameters, I want to go between Highway 59 and Kingwood Boulevard, and give me the parameters and I can draw it on the map and give that to you. There is a limitation on each file. I think it's like 2,000 homeowner names. So if you give me too big of a group, I'll have to break it into multiple files or do several searches. But don't ask me for 50,000 names. Okay, let's get you a few hundred. Let's get you a couple thousand. Get started on that. I'll be glad to send you a new list every day if you say I called every one of them. Okay, or I got a service and we called them. Yeah, but just let's start with small chunks so we don't get overwhelmed. Okay? And what's the best thing you heard today?
Well, that.
That you got phone numbers, yeah.
Geofarming, because
Yes.
we don't normally, if we're selling outside of a neighborhood, send those souls to that,
To your geo farm rather than the neighborhood where the property is located. It's actually highly wasteful, and I say that after interviewing so many agents about just listed, just sold cards. If it's just a one-off, random, one-time card to a neighborhood where they don't know you, you're not holding open houses, they don't see your name on directional signs, they're not receiving your stuff on a regular basis, all you're probably doing is deluding the homeowner that you've got the listing for that you're doing something effective when you're really not. Okay? Do something effective for your business. Mail them all to your geo farm. Okay? Somebody else? Okay. Thanks for investing 75 minutes with me.
Thank you.
Let's
Frank.
go make a difference.
So when was this going to post?
I'm going to go do it right now.
Okay. It'll be on YouTube, what, next?
Probably by tomorrow. I'll probably upload it overnight. It takes several hours.
Okay.
Probably overnight. My pleasure.
What, did it work?
Trying to do mailing on every door direct
Yes.
to apartments, but it wasn't coming up. How do you know a trick to that?
No.
I think the route would come up.
You would think that the post office would love that. It'd be very efficient for them. I've never tried it, so I don't know.
Maybe I need to call somebody.
I'd call the local post office and ask for their EDDM specialist, because most of them have no idea. But they usually have one person on staff who does.
All right, thanks.
You're welcome.